So, I've talked a bit about theology and resources in my previous videos. I think now is the time to start talking about the Enheduanna themselves. The Enheduanna are the Dingerene, that is to say gods, who are descended from An, whose name means heaven, and Ki, whose name means earth, although you'll also hear her referred to as Urash. The Enheduanna can seem a bit capricious, or, to put it another way, their hearts are good, but they don't necessarily take humans into account before acting. Thus, there's actually a rather rich tradition of lamentation poems known as Emissal prayers, which were sung by the Gala priests to calm the hearts of an Enheduanna, lest they destroy an entire city, cause great pandemics, famines, or otherwise trigger rather nasty events. With that out of the way, I figure that in this video I shall introduce you to one of the kindest and most compassionate of them, the goddess Nanshe. She is a daughter of Enki, lord of the Apsu. So what do we know about her? We actually have quite a lot on her from various hymns and temple hymns. Her temple was located in Sirara, which is a temple complex in Lagash, a city-state. And her aspects are many, as she is the goddess of sea, dream interpretation, divination, and even social justice. Let's start with her temple hymn. O house, you wild cow, there to conjure signs from divination, you arise, splendid to behold, bedecked for your princess, Sirara, great and princely place. You, dream opener, highly prized in the shrine, your lady Nanshe, a great storm, strong dark waters, born on the shore of the sea, laughing in the sea foam, playing in the waves, divine Nanshe, mighty lady, O house of Sirara, has built this house on your radiant site, and placed her seat upon your dice. This temple hymn comes to us from the Old Babylonian period of about 1800 BC, but the text itself claims to have originally been composed by Enheduanna, the high priestess of Ur, who lived much earlier. Given that this text is a result of a scribal tradition that was used to teach new scribes how to write, and since nothing anachronistic appears within the hymn, it seems pretty safe that we can assume that this is relatively authentic. So, what can we learn about her from this? Well, she's a goddess of the sea, laughing and playing in the sea foam, which anyone who has been to the beach before has noticed this sea foam. She was born on the shore, her strength a mighty storm, her reach to the darkest places of the unknowable ocean, and from this, although it's not explicit, it's not stated in this hymn, there's another hymn called Nanshe and the Birds, where we learn that her symbol is of the various seabirds, and particularly a pelican. Another aspect of her nature is as the goddess of dream interpretation. This aspect of her is not only mentioned in this poem, but also appears in a variety of other sources. I mean, after all, she is called the dream opener. So, for example, she is called upon by Gudea, who is a ruler of the city-state of Lagash, in order so he can interpret a dream he had about where to place a new temple to Ningirsu. Of course, Nanshe answers him, and a new temple to Ningirsu is built. So, what else can we learn about her? Well, let's look at another hymn called Nanshe A from the electronic Corpus of Sumerian literature, which will obviously be linked in the description below. Here, you can see her aspect as a goddess of social justice, as the following description shows. She is concerned for the orphan and concerned for the widow. She does not forget the man who helps others. She is a mother for the orphan, Nanshe a carer of the widow, who always finds advice for the debt slave, the lady who gives protection for refugees. She seeks out a place for the weak. She swells his collecting basket for him. She makes his collecting vessel profitable for him. For the righteous maiden who has taken her path, Nanshe chooses a young man of means. Nanshe raises a secure house, like a roof over the widow who could not remarry. A motif which is evident is that she stands for the outcast, the downtrodden, and those who are in debt. In Sumerian society, which was somewhat patriarchal and by the time of Sargon, very much so, being an orphan or a widow made life much harder, as there was an immense lack of opportunities available for women as opposed to men, and orphans had no connections upon which they could fall back on in order to survive. Additionally, in Sumerian society, slavery was quite a thing, particularly debt slavery. You owe too much? Well, you can sell yourself and gradually work off your debt. Nanshe would provide advice on debt slaves on how to free themselves. And occasionally, if a master were, so to say, too cruel and whatnot, one could appeal to Nanshe for help. Thus, what we have here Year is a goddess of social justice. This social justice aspect takes two dimensions of both economic and social. The economic dimension is evident in the last line, where she will put a roof over your head and a secure house, while the social dimension occurs in the common repetition of the various oppressed statuses, that is to say, the status of people who are oppressed in Sumerian society. Hence, her domain extends to watching over groups like the homeless, mentally ill, the rejected, and the so forth. With this aspect in mind, it shouldn't be surprising that she judges people by their deeds towards the oppressed. In fact, in the hymn, it continues, "At the new year, on the day of rites, the lady libates water on the holy. On the day when the bowls of rations are inspected, Nanshe also inspects the servants during the appointments. Her chief scribe, Nisaba, places the precious tablets on her knees and takes a golden stylus in her hand. She arranges the servants in single file for Nanshe, and then it will be decided whether or not a leather-clad servant can enter before her in his leather, whether or not a linen-clad servant can pass before her in his linen." Within a modern context, I take this to mean that Nanshe judges people in accordance to how they treat the oppressed. In ancient Sumer, rations were given out to people on the temple and palace grounds, which is normally where people lived. It was a temple palace economy. And this judgment takes place on Zagmu, which is roughly equivalent to the new year. And she judges people accordingly. That is to say, good things, the leather-clad servant will keep their leather, the linen-clad servant will keep their linen if they do good work, but if they do evil, then obviously they don't. Safe to say, though, a lot of people are on Nanshe's bad side. Now that we have a good understanding of her theology, in another video I will go over her various asim. An asim, for those who don't know, is roughly translated as a festival. It can also be a feast, but festival, feast, same thing. So please remember to like and subscribe so that you'll be notified of future videos. Also, please leave a comment, as it always helps to get feedback. And also be sure to check out my Discord server below, where I can go into even more detail than I've gone in here, and also talk about other Sumerian stuff and just hang out and whatnot. And if you really, really want to help, then I also have a wish list link to various books and texts I need for research. With that said, Selima to everyone, which means be well, and I will see you next time.